darle, mi hermano, un pedacito de la historia negra, de la historia nuestra, caballero. Y dice así.
Growing up in the mission was great. I remember my grandmother used to go to the Latin markets to get cheap food. It was where we got traditional Latin foods, such as pupusas, tamales, pan de muerto. My family had immigrated from El Salvador to the States in the 80s. To me, the mission was the closest thing to our home country, El Salvador. Both my mom and I were born on the Day of the Dead, November 2nd, also the only day of the year where our dead ancestors can see us. I remember how the streets would be full of joy, and the atmosphere was so happy. There would be a parade and a lot of traditional food. Growing up, there really was no way I could avoid the culture. I just embraced it. In the mission, it doesn't matter where you come from. We have people from Mexico, Nicaragua, El Salvador, people from all different types of places. The mission is home to many Latinos of San Francisco. Historically, Latinos have been there for a very long time, since the 50s to the 70s and to this day. Immigrants from Latin America have played a big role in the mission. The mission is known for its beautiful architecture, brilliant artwork, and the Latin culture. The mission transports me to my home country, El Salvador. You can smell the traditional food and hear the salsa music. I would hear stories about the older times, of how alive it was. As immigrants, we come to this country seeking refuge, economic stability, and opportunity. During the 70s and the 80s, the mission was populated by more immigrants that came from Central America and South America. This was simply due to civil wars and political instability in those countries. Nobody had claimed the territory, so it became a forum for Latin immigrants. Over the recent years, the mission has had an influx of new inhabitants. Gentrification was starting to happen all around the neighborhood.
Gentrification is a process of neighborhood change that includes economic change in a historically disinvested neighborhood by means of real estate investment and new, higher-income residents moving in, as well as demographic change, not only in terms of income level, but also in terms of changes in the education level or racial makeup of residents.
Personally, I feel like the mission has changed a lot from when I was a kid. As I got older, I started to see more white European people on the streets. I never had a problem with them, but it wasn't until I began researching for my project that I started to notice what was happening.
Bastante, muchos negocios se han ido, no solo los negocios, pero mucha gente se ha tenido que mover fuera de San Francisco y pues ahora en la misión se miran otra clase de gente caminando,
Sí.
que antes pues era casi básicamente de sola gente latina, comercios latinos, muchos han tenido que cerrar por renta muy cara.
Sí. I'd heard stories from my Latin friends that families were being pushed out and more white people were moving in. They said that the culture is fading. Many people were being evicted from their homes. New modernized high-rent apartments were forming, and people from tech companies started to make their way into the neighborhood.
O el precio, que ha subido mucho el precio de los locales, muy caro. Y sí, allí enfrente a un amigo que hacía playeras y ya se fue. Across the street había otro lugar que ponía motos, también cerraron. Palestina había un lugar también que componían carros, también cerraron, ahora construyeron. Yo pienso que pasó de que hay mucha gente que trabaja en Facebook o Google y ha subido los precios. Y esa gente sí paga $3,000, $4,000 de renta. No creo que den mucho para la comunidad, nada más lo que están subiendo el costo de vivir en San Francisco.
Because when I was a kid, the mission was totally different. It was Latino, but it was a mixture of different cultures and so on and so forth.
Just understanding gentrification to like actually supporting families that are losing people, you know, even a part of just housing rights issues and things like that, and you know, getting involved to support families who lost close to police brutality as a direct effect of the gentrification.
Yeah.
And then there's all the arsons that have been occurring to get people out. There's all kinds of crazy schemes. And then they'll do the things where they'll say that they have to renovate an apartment and they'll move people out. But then when it's time for them to move back in, they jack up the prices. And then people are like, well, so there's so many scams on how to like get people to lose their homes.
Yeah.
Because I leave San Francisco and I've been not living here for many years, and every time I come back I find that I'm a little disheartened by how much the city's changed. It's not accessible as it used to be for an artist or for somebody who's just trying to work and earn enough to keep an apartment.
The Mission has traditionally been a place of immigrants. My family being immigrants as well, we know what it's like. The workers' struggle is real. My grandparents are proof of it. My grandfather being the janitor at this school for over 35 years. Immigrants come to this country with nothing. All we have is determination. We have the determination to work and provide for our families. My grandfather used to tell me that there are times when all he had to eat was tortillas with salt. As immigrants, we don't come to this country with education, but we hustle. We hustle to make ends meet. We hustle to feed our children. We hustle to send them to school, so they receive the education that we lack in our home country.
They can never really get rid of us. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna change this, but we're already here. I mean, maybe they might be able to take the apartments and nice houses and stuff, but we still gotta go to work. Because we are the mission.
The Mission has always been a special place for me. It remains an epicenter of culture and freedom of expression. The Mission is where my pride comes from. My pride of being Latino and embracing my culture. I wish the Mission was how it used to be though.
Mi gente